All right. It is the 46th episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. I am your all festivaled out host, Erin, and allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. So, I've had a pretty busy weekend, but before we get to that, I had a pretty busy previous weekend, which honestly I wasn't even really doing much last weekend, if we're being completely honest. It's just that I don't know. Anytime my schedule is like off, it like messes up my entire like next day. But anyways, I'll get to the Festival of Couches a little bit later. But something fun that I did the previous weekend is that I got a little text message from my good Judy Lucy, just randomly, Friday morning, being like, hey, do you want to go to this show in Hattiesburg? This is last Friday. Yeah, last Friday. And I was like, well, I've never been to Hattiesburg before. I might as well go. You know, there was another show going on that night at Sunflower Oven that I was planning on being at, but I was like, perhaps I'll go to Hattiesburg. So I went to Hattiesburg for the first time. And that was cool, a short little road trip down the road. Hattiesburg is about, I don't know, it's like an hour 20 away from Jackson, I think. Pretty much a straight shot down 49 question mark. And like I said, I've never been before, but we went to a show at Cafe House Fabelhaft. I think I'm saying that wrong, but let me look it up. What is this? Coffee House Fabelhaft. And it's basically like a German coffee shop, but they also have like, I guess, like a bunch of like German beer as well. So that's cool. And yeah, we went to see, I'm trying to find the poster. I know a lot of time is spent looking things up on this podcast, but I would like to look this up if I may. Where the heck is it? Like, actually, I don't know. How can I like literally not find it? This is weird. Hold on. I'm looking, and I legit cannot find it. That's crazy. Okay, well, anyways, I'm pretty sure I can remember the lineup. It was Silo Kids, who is from Hattiesburg, Judy and the Jerks, who I believe is like kind of a big deal in like the punk world, also from Hattiesburg / I want to say Atlanta. And then there was another band from a place that I can't quite remember. And, you know, I'm just, to be fair, this was like a whole week ago. So, like, I'm gonna have Split. They're from, I want to say New Orleans. I'm gonna verify this information. I cannot verify this information, unfortunately. Hold on. I am pretty sure they're from New Orleans. And then the main event for the night, which was Abi Ooze from, I don't know if this is where they're from, but I have a tape here. I have a tape that I bought at the show. It's really interesting because this tape, it's not in the usual, I don't know what you call cassette tape containers. I think they're called like jewel cases or something like that. This is like a different kind of case that is different from all the other cassettes that I own. And I did open this up just to look at it, but I saved it because there is a little booklet in here. This is songs written by Abi Ooze, recorded in a basement in Northwest Indiana, early 2021. Let me see here. Come on. Why isn't this coming out? Oh, this is a kind of a... Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, no, that was the front of the J card. This is the booklet. And I believe these are lyrics written on here. I haven't actually looked at these yet. Oh, that's not that big, actually. Here is the insert on the inside. This is going to be really overexposed, so you're not going to be able to see it, but it's like handwritten. And it is, in fact, lyrics for the songs on, I want to say this is an EP. Yeah. And actually, let me look at, I'm going to try to fold this back up as best as I can. One day I want to do like a tour. Oh, I didn't do this right. This isn't folding right. I want to do like a video tour of all of the tapes I have, because I have kind of amassed a cute little collection of tapes, and I want to get a pretty big tape collection, probably bigger than my record collection, which isn't really that big, mostly because I, for whatever reason, have the compulsion to put every record up on my wall, so I don't really buy them very often. Here we go. And here's the tape itself. It's in a clear case, I guess. No printing on it. These are just like stickers. Abi Ooze, and then the picture of the singer right here, which again, you can't really see that well. I'll try to, I don't know if this is going to focus. Oh, it is focusing. There you go. There's the front. I really hope my nails aren't dirty. Okay, they're fine, I think. And yeah. But yeah, one of these days, I want to do like a little video. Ooh, I put this on the wrong side. A little video walkthrough of all of the tapes that I have. Because, I mean, a lot of these that I have, well, maybe two, really one, if I'm being honest. One, well, okay, no, yes, two, sort of three of these I like listen to pretty regularly, and I'm looking over in this direction, so that's where my tape shelf is. But one of these days, I want to do a little walkthrough of all my tapes. I don't think this is going up on the shelf, only because the shelf is already at its limits, and at some point, I'm going to have to buy another shelf. But now that I am getting down to the wire in terms of moving, I'm trying not to, mount stuff up on my wall only to have to take it down like 2 months later. So this will have to sit on, I don't know, probably like my bookshelf or something for now. I also got a pin, and normally I would put, is this the right setup? Normally I would put pins in my cork wall, but again, my cork wall is at capacity, and at some point I'm gonna have to put another one up because I have like way more like stickers and stuff that could go on there. But again, we're in the situation where, okay, I'm moving in a couple months, I don't want to have to put it up only to take it back down, so that will be a project for whatever my new home is. So yeah, that was a Hattiesburg trip. I really enjoyed being there. I'm not gonna lie, the Hattiesburg scene is really interesting in that it to me feels very distinct from the Jackson scene, whereas the Jackson scene is kind of, it feels like there's some like sub scenes within it. I don't know if that's really the case for Hattiesburg. And also, I don't know. It feels like the people in Hattiesburg, maybe it's because they're so young, because Hattiesburg is a college town. But to me, it kind of feels like the people in Hattiesburg are just like a lot more like visually punk, if that makes sense. Which is really cool to see. And also, so if you've never been to the venue, Coffee House Fablehaft, which I had not until, last week, it's a coffee house, but the actual shows themselves, well, I don't know if this is like a normal thing or not, if it was just like that night or if they just do it sometimes, but there's like a garage in the back, and that's where like the stage area is. I had to make sure I was recording. Sometimes I'm like paranoid that I'm gonna sit here and yap for 15 minutes. I'm not recording. That's not happened. Knock on wood. There's no real wood to knock on, so I guess it's gonna happen at some point now. Anyways, the shows are held just in this like garage in the back of like the coffee house area. And it got hot in there. It was real hot in there. It's getting hotter. I will say that. It's getting hotter now. It's getting closer to May. It's definitely getting hotter. But I feel like we've had some mild weeks. But it was hot in that little garage. I'll tell you that much. And so I don't know where these came from, but there were like a bunch of beach balls that were being thrown around and like pool noodles. And at one point, like an unfolded pocket knife like fell out of someone's pocket. That was weird. I will say that. That was strange. But aside from that, honestly, beach balls, fun, love. Pool noodles, I didn't get whacked with one, but I would imagine I wouldn't like getting whacked with one. But also, such is life when you choose to stand at the very front. Like this was, when I say it was a garage, it was quite literally like a 2-car garage. You could fit 2 cars in there, I think. So we were all very close. I have never stood so close to the people performing before, like in my life. Like we were really close. It was very intimate, very close. But that was cool. And honestly, I do want to go back to Hattiesburg at some point. It's just that by the time me and Lucy got back, it was midnight. It was the next day. We went down there on Friday and we came back on Saturday, which I mean, that's fine for like a Friday. However, the next day I did end up staying in bed until literally noon, and that really threw me off. I can't do that. I guess that's kind of on me. I could have just woken up at 7 like normal and just got out of bed and proceeded with my day, but I didn't feel like doing that for whatever reason, so I didn't. Um, so that kind of, like I said, that threw off my schedule, but it was fun and I want to go back, and I think it would be cool to go back and maybe even take some pictures. I did see someone there with like this really nice like 4K camera like recording the show, and I was like, oh man, I know that Lishman of Trash Pile Media, he's more in Starkville though, and also I think he travels around a little bit more. I know that wasn't him, but I was like, oh, I didn't know, there was someone like that in Hattiesburg. And so after the show, I went up and talked to them. And it turns out they're just a college student doing a documentary project that will, as they told me, won't see the light of day. So it's like, oh, okay, well, honestly, if I got to do a documentary project, because we didn't do any documentaries when I was in school, but if I got to do a documentary project, on the music scene here in Jackson when I was in school, that would have been really cool. However, keep in mind that, number one, I didn't know that it existed. So it would be kind of hard to do that. And also, I could I could just do it now. But when you're a student, when you're a young, enterprising young person in academia, I don't know. I don't know if it's even easier, really, to be completely honest. Maybe it just feels easier. I don't know. But yeah, I literally could just do that now, and yet I choose not to. I choose to write about it instead, which jury is out if that is harder or easier than video. But yeah, I could, but I choose not to. Which, I mean, it's not like I choose not to. It's not even like I don't even have the desire to do so. It's just I kind of, know what goes into that. And it's like, that's a lot of work, And also, something that I've kind of noticed, and I was able to kind of escape this with my last job because it's not like I was doing any actual work. But now that I work in the field that I work in, and I'm basically staring at Premiere for like 8 hours a day, the last thing that I want to do in my free time is like edit, which is crazy. I knew this was going to happen. Like, part of me knew this was going to happen. But it has happened. Like, I recorded 2 whole YouTube videos and I just have not touched them because I just have not felt like editing them because, they were both unscripted videos. And so they ended up being, I want to say like over 40 minutes of like raw footage, and I was like, I just can't be bothered. Like, I don't want to clock out of staring at Premiere for 8 hours, then clock in to staring at Premiere for an additional like 4 hours in my free time. I'd rather do anything else. And the simple explanation, or not simple explanation, the simple solution to this is to hire an editor. But given that I know what goes into video editing and I know how much editors should be paid, I also know that I can't afford that. So it's like, I don't want to settle for someone who is okay with being paid peanuts, because I don't think that's right. I want to pay artists their worth, especially now when art is being so devalued, which, put a pin in that, because we're going to come back to that. Just you wait. So yeah, it's kind of weird to say that, I want to value art when I am also, that means I'm also like not paying for it, but because like I know I can't afford it, so it's like that's why I don't do it. I really, wish I was at the point where I could like afford to hire like a video editor for me, because then I could still be somewhat consistent with the whole YouTube thing. Not this, because this podcast takes very little like effort to edit. Like basically I just go through and watch it and make sure there's no like visible glitches or anything like that. I edit the audio to make sure it sounds nice, and I add my outro and everything, but aside from that, there's not a lot of editing that goes down with this. Although when I do my shorts, that does require a little bit of effort because I have to cut them down so they're not super long. But now, now on YouTube you can do 3-minute shorts, so that's made that a little bit easier. So, anyways, all that to say is I had a good time at Hattiesburg, and it was a lot of fun. And going on little road trips with friends, little mini road trips with friends is really fun, and I want to do it more. But yeah, on to the main event of my past 2-ish. Well, honestly, I've been preparing for this for, I want to say like a month. So the main event for the last month is, of course, the Festival of Couches, Couch Fest. And so my mom actually came down all the way from Alabama to help me with this because realistically, I could have done it on my own. Like, just, logistically and everything, I could have done it on my own, but it was a lot easier with some help. I will say that. There weren't a whole lot of like moving parts or anything like that. I had a table that I borrowed from someone, a tent that I also borrowed from someone. And honestly, the tent was a 2-person setup. You need 2 people to set up like a 10 by 10 tent because that thing, yeah, that was an experience. But aside from that, realistically, I could have done everything myself, but it's a lot. This just in, breaking news, life is easier when you have help. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but that's the truth. So, my mom came down to help me, and we went over to Urban Fox's. This is my first Couch Fest, by the way. I probably have mentioned that several times before, but this is my first one. So we got in, we set up around noon, and then people, they trickled in. I got a decent amount of traffic, I want to say, to my little booth that I had set up, even though, I know you're not supposed to compare yourself to others, but compared to the other artists that were set up, my booth was very petite. It was very small. It was very petite. What can I say? But also, at the same time, I didn't really have a whole lot. I had 5 zines. I had my stickers, and I also got a little idea in my head, just to think about other things I can put on the table. I went to Walmart and I spent like $10 on like a container of gummy bears, individually wrapped. Not individually wrapped gummy bears, but individually wrapped packages of gummy bears. And also some like Easter eggs, plastic Easter eggs. Because today is Easter, by the way, as I'm recording this. Not only is it 420, but it's also Easter, Resurrection Day, to some. So, the Easter stuff was out. I bought some Easter eggs for like $1.28. I think I got like 48 of them or 45 of them or something like that. And I spent, what was that, Friday evening putting gummy bears in Easter eggs. And honestly, I think they were a hit. I just gave them out for free because, like, charging for Easter eggs, that probably would have been a little lame, even though it probably would have helped me recoup some of my money. And I haven't actually crunched the numbers or anything. Like, I don't know how much I spent preparing for this. I know I can find out. I just haven't bothered to do so. I didn't know roughly how much I made, but, I sort of knew that I wasn't gonna break even, like, at all, especially considering that I spent, and I don't want to harp on the money aspects of this because that's kind of lame, but I did spend, I would say, the bulk of my money on printer ink, and that wasn't fun. So I'm gonna have to, I don't know, maybe it is worth investing in like an inkjet, not an inkjet, like a laser jet, the one with the big barrels instead of little cartridges. It may be worth investing in one of those if this is going to be a thing that I do for a while. And I do know that they make them in color. Like, you can get the color barrels. And I do know that those replacement cartridges, they're a little bit more, well, they're like double the price, let's be honest. So, from $40 to like $80, which, I mean, my ink cartridges don't cost $40. but still, they're the big barrels are like $80. And but they last longer. So it's like, if I'm gonna be doing the zine thing, I either need to have access to a printer that I can just print from, or I need to upgrade my own technology. But also, like, I just bought this printer, and I mean, it's a cheap printer. It's cheap as far as printers go. So, like, I don't know. It might be a worthy investment. Maybe. And also, I don't have to get rid of my old printer. I can keep it. Because, I mean, realistically, if I do buy one of I think they're LaserJet. That's what they're called, LaserJet printers. A lot of them don't have, like, the scanners on them. And I have had to scan things in my adult life a surprising amount of times. So I would like to keep a scanner. It has actually been useful, believe it or not. But I could just keep both of them. Like, that's an option, to just keep them. Anyways, what was I even talking about? I had my Easter eggs. Those were a hit. I think the stickers were a hit as well. They were very small. I still have leftovers of everything. I have Easter eggs left over, but I think I'm just gonna take them to work because, like, I don't want plastic Easter eggs. What am I gonna do with them? So yeah, those are going to work where people can appreciate them. Stickers, I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. I might just, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with them, actually. I really don't. And I also have some zines left over. And I do want to know how much I sold. I was supposed to get the box and put it near me before I started recording, but I didn't do that, so I have to get up and get it. I have my shoebox that I used to transport everything. And let's see how we did. So, if you'll remember, I had 5 zines, 10 copies of each. And so, I think I don't have equals of everything. Okay. So I have 3 left of Searching for Burning Windsor and Finding Myself Instead. And some of these I don't think I actually announced on pod, but this surprised me. I only have 2 left of these. The full story about abortion isn't being told. So the interesting thing about this particular zine is that I wrote this initially. First of all, I wrote it back in 2022? 23? No, I think it was 2023. I wrote this back in 2023, and it was supposed to be a video essay, and I recorded the video essay. But this was around the time that I made my video about lolcows and about the whole situation with, oh my god, how could I forget? I didn't write this down. I have to write this down. Hold on. You will have to forgive me, but I'm writing this down. Which I knew there was a reason that I have my camera plugged up, so my battery's not gonna die because it's plugged into the wall. Now, I don't know about my recorder, but if that dies, we'll just have to deal with it. Oh my god. Anyways, I initially wrote the script to this initial video essay around the time that I made the video about lolcows, and the video about my anti-SJW phase, and also the video about, I can't remember what the heck. Okay, the title of the video was Slurs Are Bad, actually. It's about idubbbz, which this is like going outside of my viewership now, but I feel like there might be some overlap here, so I don't really care. But idubbbz doing his whole like apology video thing, and then Critical's like just terrible response to it. So I was getting a lot of, I wouldn't say hate, because honestly, most of them weren't really hateful. The most hateful comments that I've gotten on a YouTube video, I will say this, like the most straight up racism that I have gotten in my comment section on a YouTube video is when I made my video about Classically Abi, who, for the uninitiated, Ben Shapiro's sister was like, maybe she is still on YouTube. I really don't know. I haven't been keeping up with the Joneses with her. But she like took out like a bunch of YouTube ads, and every time I would scroll on YouTube, I would see her ads, and it made me annoying, and it made me annoyed. It annoyed me. It was annoying. And I made a video about it, and I got some legit racist comments like that I have not gotten since. It was crazy. But anyways, I was getting a lot of crazy comments, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm not gonna post this one. And usually, I don't know. that was a decision that I made, but I still thought, I went back and read it as I was preparing, materials to bring with me to Couchfest, and I was like, this is still a good essay. And so I did some editing on it because it was kind of, not necessarily antiquated, but I wrote it a year after the Dobbs decision. So was that? Yeah, that was 2023. A year after the Dobbs decision. And so I just wanted to update the language in it to make it so that I have a burp. Hold on. Oh, that was gross. I have to I have to edit that out. God. I wrote this a year after the Dobbs decision, and yeah, I just updated the language a little bit. This is my second longest one. This one is 5 printed out pages, and this one is 4 printed out pages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, because I also printed the last paragraph on the back cover. And so, yeah, I think, honestly, probably this one and this one, these are my 2 that I'm the most proud of writing-wise. And I'm honestly surprised that most of these were bought, to be completely honest. I knew it was a divisive topic, but also, when you think about it, the whole point of zine culture is to speak about divisive topics in a sort of decentralized way. And I think maybe my fellow zinesters will maybe agree with me. I don't know. So yeah, this isn't online anywhere. So basically in zine format is like the only place it'll be. I was supposed to do the video today, but I was like, again, my schedule is like all throwed off because of, Couchfest and things taking up my time yesterday, and also having a guest in my house just like throws off the whole vibe. Even though it was just my mom, my house really is not built for guests. So anytime I do have a guest, which is usually literally just my mom, the vibe is thrown off. Anyways, I was supposed to make the the announcement video about it today. I did not. Oopsie poopsie. I'll do that sometime this week. But these will be available to purchase online soon. So just wait for that. Anyways, I have 2 left of this. And then I have community building in times of uncertainty. I feel like this one got picked up and like looked at the most by people, but I have 4 of these left. And then I have No, You Won't Die If You Can't Crowd Kill a 15-year-old Girl, which I think I talked about this. I have 3 of these left. I think I talked about this, maybe a little bit. But yeah, this is the one that had people, literally just 2 people, really only just 2 people, 1.5 really, jumping down my throat on the topic of crowd killing. This is also not available online anywhere. It's not on my website, and this one will also be available for purchase online soon. Okay. And then I have Jackson's Biggest Little Festival returns April 19th. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 of these left. So my bestseller ended up being the one that was the most divisive, which I was honestly really surprised about. And honestly, I am glad that my Burning Windsor article is making some movement because, fun fact, that is my least read article on my website, probably because it is so long. Yeah, but, I had a lot of people come up to me just to say hello. I also got a couple of comments, kind of, I wouldn't say necessarily thanking me. One person did thank me for, doing what I do and writing what I write about. And another person was like, and this isn't a direct quote, but this is the vibe of it. Like, I really commend you for putting yourself out there like this. And I was like, yeah, that's nice. So I do have some of these left. So the Burning Windsor one, the one about Couchfest, and the community building one. These will be, and I mean, there are very few copies of these left, but these will be going in the Landmass Library soon. I know the Zine Club is supposed to meet at some point in the next couple of weeks, Actually, I think maybe this week. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. So I'll bring these with me to put them in the distro, but these two will be available online to purchase soon, like I said. Um, so, okay, this one literally almost slipped my mind, but we had, and I don't know, which, I mean, hey, it's a public event. Anybody could show up, you know? Obama could show up, but we didn't get Obama. We got Chokwe Antar-Lumumba, mayor of Jackson, just showed up at the beginning of the event, right before the first performer went on, which was mostly satire. I'm like, so the setup for like the art booths and stuff, it was like in a separate yard, sort of. So it was in, I guess, technically the backyard of the Heights, where the, stage and the band merch and everything was in the backyard of Urban Foxes. But the backyards, they kiss, they smooch. And there's like a little wall divider that like goes halfway, if that's illustrative enough. And my booth was set up like right at the wall, so I kind of had my back to the stage and everything. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I hear this voice, and I'm like, "Who is this? Why does this sound familiar?" And then I stand up and I go to look, and it's the mayor. And I'm like, "Okay, well this is random. I didn't know he was supposed to be there. I don't know if he was invited or not. I don't think he would have been, but also I don't know." And for those of you who don't know, the runoff election, I mean, it'll be over by the time this comes out, but as I'm recording this, and as of, Couch Fest, which was yesterday, the previous day of me recording this, the runoff election is Tuesday, so it's coming up. And also, I don't have high hopes for this runoff. I'm not even gonna lie, like, I think it's curtains for his time as mayor, like, because the whole thing about it is that he barely, by the skin of his teeth, made it to a runoff, because the, I guess, front runner in this, which is John Horn, who is a state senator, got like 48% of the vote. But also the thing about it is that pretty much everyone else were like spoiler candidates, because there are 19 candidates for mayor just in the Democratic primary, by the way. This is just the Democratic primary. So there's 19 candidates in the Democratic primary, and really it was just John Horn versus the current mayor. So, and I mean, I don't think it's sad, actually, especially considering the litigation that he's facing. It's not that sad. He only got like 4,000 votes. I can't even remember what his percentage was, but it was low. He was like a far second, not even a close second, like a distant second. So it's a miracle that this is going to run off at all. And I don't have high hopes that he's even going to make the runoff. I really don't. Like, it'll be upset of the century if he goes from being a distant second to winning the runoff, But anyways, the whole point of him being there was to campaign. Like, that was pretty transparent. I don't think Chokwe Antar-Lumumba, which I don't know why I have to say his full name, but you gotta say his full name. Chokwe Antar-Lumumba really cares about Jackson's underground music scene, honestly. If I just had to guess, if I just had to throw it out there, I don't think he cares that much. I'm just saying it was just an event that people would be at, which, okay. I think not most, I would say a good deal of the people who were there, were like over 18, which is, that's the voting age. How many of them are registered to vote? Who knows? And if you're watching this and you're not registered to vote, you should. I know voter registration day is September 23rd, so it's a little bit early, but it's never too early. So you should register to vote. Yeah. Anyways, what was I saying? So yeah, the mayor showed up. It was random. He came to my booth, shook my hand, bought a zine from me. I can't even remember which one he bought. I think it was the one about community building. That was the one that he bought. His sister was there with him, Rikia. She also purchased a couple. And then there was an older woman that was with them. I do not know her name or her relation to the two of them, but she bought all 5. So shout out to her, I guess. But the craziest thing about it is that I kind of highly doubt that any of the, well, okay, I don't know. The older lady, she was nice. She seemed interested, but I kind of doubt that they're gonna read them, which is a crazy thing to say. But like, yeah, I don't think Mr. Lumumba is gonna cozy up on his couch at the end of a long day of fighting, federal charges and crack open my zine, I don't foresee that happening. And he is welcome to, prove me wrong. But for whatever reason, I don't think I will be proven wrong. Hate to say it, but yeah. Anyway, it's kind of especially funny because in preparation for, well, it wasn't even really in preparation. It was just something that I kind of wrote. It was an observation, which again, my zines will be available to purchase online, physical and digital, soon. I just have not announced it yet. Honestly, everything is already set up. I just have to make a video announcing it and hit the button to make it live. So that's 100% on me. But what was I saying? Why am I forgetting what I'm saying? It's especially funny that this happened because, the next essay that I have down the pipe, which is not, this isn't a Jackson Underground work. I have, other pen names that I write under, which is the one that this one is written under, which is the one that I used to write under in Medium, but I just stopped writing Medium articles because I ran out of things. As crazy as it sounds, I ran out of things to write. But also, that was one of my many unemployment projects. So, I wasn't exactly having the requisite life experiences to write about things. In order to be a good writer, in my opinion, you have to live a little. You have to have experiences to draw from, to write about, be it fiction or nonfiction. Which is why when I was in college, which I criticized it a lot at the time and even a little bit afterwards, that is why a lot of the scripts, not me, I was not writing about this, but, some of the scripts that my, I was going to say coworkers, not coworkers, classmates were writing at the time was just boy meets girl, because that's the only thing that you're experiencing in college. When you're a college-age boy, that's what you're focused on, is meeting girl. Although there were exceptions, we had some truly exceptional writers in our midst. I honestly wouldn't even put me among them. There were two that I can think of off the top of my head that were just really good, exceptional writers writing about things other than Boy Meets Girl, who honestly, I hope they're doing well wherever they are, living their lives. I hope they're doing well, and I hope they're still writing, because I think their stories deserve to be told and actualized, whether that be through film or any other medium. Yeah. Honestly, I should just shout them out. The first one I'm thinking about, his name is Noah, so shout out to him. And the other one I'm thinking about, she was actually in the creative writing program. Her name is Corinne. I totally forgot her last name, but even if I did remember it, I would not say it because, I don't know, privacy, maybe? I don't know. So Noah and Corinne, wherever you are, I hope you're slaying. I hope you are pecking away at them keys. And I hope, honestly, I gotta look them up now after this. I really do wonder what became of some of my classmates. Okay, to detour a little bit from Couchfest, it happens, on this pod, but to detour a little bit away, there was this girl that I took a colloquy class with, which basically, that's a class, I don't think, it was a 0 credit hour class, but I'm pretty sure it was mandatory, and it met once a week, and you just got together and you shared what you wrote, and you got feedback on it. I loved it. Really sad that I don't have anything like that as an adult, because, that kept me writing. Even when I was just writing poetry, I wrote some really good poetry, IMO. And so I have since forgotten her name, but she was a really good political satirist. And anytime she had something to bring to class, I was so excited because it was just really good and really funny. I forgot her name, and I really hate that I forgot her name because I feel like she's she has to be a successful writer somewhere because she was just so good. Anyways, back to Couchfest. Yeah, the next zine that I have that will come out, that will be available online for purchase soon. It's not really about the mayor, it's about me. Which, by the way, pretty much everything that I write is in one way or another about me, which honestly I don't see a problem with that, in my opinion. I think it's fine. I think I will continue to write that way. But the mayor does make a little cameo in it, in not a favorable light at all. So, and that one's ready, by the way. That one's ready to go. I have not printed it out, but I will do that at some point. Anyway, so the lineup of bands for the night, I will look it up because I cannot be trusted to remember anything, apparently, Let me find it. Okay, so first up for the night, Weak Hearts started it out on the front yard, and at first I was like, is that a speaker? But also it was like, oh, the drums come through really well, so this is not a speaker. But they were on the front yard of Urban Fox's. I want to say like maybe they started around 12:30, something like that. And then the backyard started out with mostly satire, which this was their first performance for like a while. Because I feel like at some point they sort of kind of broke up, but then they sort of kind of got back together. The lineup is the same. So I think they just kind of, I don't know, they reformatted in some way. Maybe musically, maybe not. I don't know. But they were there. That was fun. And good to see them again, doing what they do. And also, I'm just going to say it, I love bands with people of color in them. I do. What can I say? The people in Mostly Satire, it's Aries, Kobe, and Sean. They're all people of color, and I think it's great that they have, I think they are pretty popular in Jackson, and I think it's great, to show other people, other young people, that you can do what you want, and I just love that they exist, point blank period. I'll say it. I don't care, okay? I don't care. Mostly Satire will always have a place in my heart, okay? Always. And you can tell him, I said that. Anyway, the next band was Odang from, I want to say, New Orleans. And I won't have anything profound to say about all these bands. Number one, because I didn't stay for the full time, because I got really tired by like sunset, and I was like, I need to go lay down. And also because for some of these, I was busy manning my booth, and I did try to get videos and pictures because I didn't have my camera of each of them. I didn't manage to do that, but I tried. Okay. And then after that was Goodwin Rainier, which I wasn't prepared, but they have not only a banjoist, not only a trumpeter, but a saxophonist, And when I saw the sax person come from the heights and like go down to the stage, I was like, oh my goodness, it's a ska band. But it's not a ska band. It's a y'all alternative. I love the word y'all alternative because it really does fit a lot of things, and that's what I would say they were. They're really good though, very catchy. I like them. My mom also said she liked them, so my mom, she's an older Black woman. She's mostly into R&B and things of the like, but she liked Goodwin Rainier, and then the Public from St. Louis, who I actually saw when they were on tour with Surf Wax last year. And then they ended the tour in Jackson, and I like them. They came back. I like them again. My mom also liked them, so yes. Let's see. Joy Bomb from Tennessee, and I don't know. I guess I blacked out during their set because I kind of forgot. Oh no, I don't. No, I don't. My mom also said she liked Joy Bomb, and I thought they were good too. Just listening from my booth. And then Holy Vision from right here in Jacktown. They're a good band. I like them. I remember during the Halloween shows, the Halloween fundraisers that we had for Big House, but I say we like I organized it. It wasn't me. We as in the community. had for Big House Books this past Halloween. And they did a cover set of Green Day songs. It was really good, and I really enjoyed it. And I like their original music as well. In fact, they have some new music out. It came out recently. I don't know the name of it, but it is new and it is out, and you should find it because it is good. Let me see. And then, Deflo Service, which was the last band of the night that I saw, which is the one that I was personally looking forward. I was looking forward to Surf Wax as well, but I was looking forward to Deflo Service because I have been listening to It's Off Your Shoulders and October Rain on My Window Pane pretty much on repeat for like the last month. And so I was very excited to hear their stuff live again. And my mom said she liked them as well. And then after Deflo Service, I unfortunately left because I was like, all right, I'm tired. The heat really takes it out of you. The heat just makes you tired. And like I had a tent, and I had a fan. I had 2 fans. I bought 2 fans. I had a desk fan and I had a backup fan, okay? Brand new batteries in both of, well, not the other one. The other one is rechargeable, but fully recharged. Brand new batteries in the desk fan. And I was still dying. Drinking, like, I have a 24-ounce container, a water bottle, duh. I have a 24-ounce bottle. I drank that and, like, what's half of 24? 12? What's 12? What's 24? I drank that. And I was still like, man, I am suffering out here. It did not help that I was wearing like synthetic fibers and black. So, there were probably survival strategies that I could have chosen that were, like wear natural fibers because they cool you off better, and wear not black because that doesn't absorb the sun, even though I was out of the sun and it was overcast yesterday. So that kind of helped. But, also, it didn't help that I was out there from like 12 until like 6:30, 6:45, and I did not eat the entire time. I had breakfast in the morning because that was a really good strategy. Even though it did low-key make me sick, I don't like eating that early in the morning, but I forced myself to eat because I was like, okay, I cannot be out here chomping at the mouth, frothing at the bit, itching and scratching for food. They did have food set up, and it was probably real good. I didn't have any of it. So honestly, if I just like ate a little bit, I probably would have been fine. I probably could have stayed for the whole night, but I didn't. It's just, another in the long line of unwise decisions that I've made, just in general. So, but after Deflo Service with Surf Wax, and then Headcanon, and then Smokies closed out the night. They were the new closer for this year. So that was nice. I'm sure I was not there to see it, but I've seen the videos, and it looked like a lot of fun. So yeah. But I was not the only artiste in the Artiste Fest, the Art Fest. And I have some trinkets that I will show you that I'm very happy about. So, my booth neighbor, S&Z Arts, I got this cute little keychain. And by the way, if you're listening to the audio-only version of the podcast, you're only getting half the story. Like, this episode is a very visual episode. I will say that much. But, oh, please don't fall over Mike's stand. Michael's stand? Okay. I got this keychain that says, I don't know if this is going to focus. Okay, I think it's focusing. Also, it is overexposed. But it says, I'm just a baby, and it has like a little baby on there. Now, I don't know if I'm going to put this on my actual keys, because this isn't very heavy, like, at all. But I do have quite a few keychains. Well, I have like 3. But one of them is like really heavy, because it's like solid metal. And I don't want to add more heft to my keys. But this will be going on the sticker and pen wall when I, do up my sticker and pen wall. And then I got a sticker. Are you gonna focus? There we go. It's a magic 8 ball, and it says, I don't know, man. And it has S&Z Arts at the bottom. That was my booth neighbor. And then, these are kind of over here. Oh, no. So Justin Ransburg of Ransburg Art, we did a trade. I traded some zines, he traded some zines, and then I purchased this one. I bought this one, I'm pretty sure. One of these I bought, and then two of these I traded. So I have Smut, Okay Cops, by Justin Ransburg. And then I have Painter. Ooh, you really can't see this. This is very light. Yeah, you really, you really can't. I'm just holding up a piece of paper. It says Painter by Justin Ransburg, which, okay, yes, I am saying that right. Sometimes I read a word and then I say that word a specific way and it's like extremely wrong and I never realize it because I'm just like low key not reading things all the way until I like read them all the way. But no, I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name right. And then I have JXN to LGB. You can see that one by Justin Ransburg. It's a travel zine. And I'm very excited to flip through these, but that is not my favorite thing that I got from Justin Ransburg. I have, you guys, you're gonna gag when you are going to gag when you see this. It's a couch. I have a 3D printed couch. Like, oh my gosh, I was eyeing them pretty much the entire time, these little couches, and I was like, I gotta have this couch. I have to have this couch. Like, I love a little trinket. Like, you know, a lot of people have a very, I guess, utilitarian view to the things that they have in their home. Like, they have to have a purpose, they have to have a function. You know, I don't care. I want a little 3D printed couch, okay? Which is perfect for Couch Fest. But, like, this does have a home. It goes on the top shelf of my bookshelf, and it is so cute. I mean, it's a couch. Like, it's 3D printed. It is plain white. It is paintable. However, he told me if I do want to paint it, I think I'm gonna have to prime it first. And I've never painted like minifigures or anything like that. But this would be so cute to just like paint, just like maybe like a solid color. I don't know. But also a little room divider that goes with it. So I don't have anything to sit on the couch right now, but it would be nice to find something to sit on the couch. And the piece de resistance, okay? I'm just gonna show it to you. It's the Saddam Hussein hiding spot. I saw this and I was like, I have to have this. This is from Lydia Fortenberry of Apex Illustration, and it's a fridge magnet, so it has this on the back. And so I love a fridge magnet. I was gonna say I have a refrigerator. Most people have refrigerators. In fact, I would be more surprised if you didn't have a refrigerator. But I have a refrigerator. It accepts magnets. And aside from my Chora/Cora magnet, that's the only one that I have up there right now. But now it has a friend. It's the Saddam Hussein hiding spot, which this meme is so like just strange, you know, to have it immortalized. And I believe she said this is glass, like colored glass into another piece of colored glass. So it's like, I don't know if you can, this is pretty solid. And also I'm scared if I drop this is gonna break. So I have to be really careful with this. I have to give it extra love and care when I do eventually move so that I don't drop it and break it, because I freaking love this thing. It's stupid. Like, it's just funny, you know? And what can I say? I love it. You know? You can't really tell, but it is labeled. There's vent, fan, and Saddam Hussein, which is, you know, the fact that a meme has been made of the capture and eventual assassination of Saddam Hussein, it's a little strange, but there have been stranger things made into memes, I think, in my opinion. But I have Saddam Hussein's hiding spot as a fridge magnet, and I'm very happy about it, so take that. Honestly, I think I need to go to more, like, art shows, because, you know, you have a very when in Rome feel to it, because, you know, I had just got paid this past Friday, right? And I've already paid my bills. So, you know, I knew how much I had left over for tomfoolery, which I wouldn't call purchasing art tomfoolery, but, you know, I knew how much I had left over for trinkets. So, I spent the money on the trinkets and I don't even care. I love my couch. I love my room divider. I love my Saddam Hussein hiding spot. And I love my keychain that says, I'm just a baby. So, shout out to the artists for making that and bringing it to Couch Fest for me to buy because now I have them and I'm very happy by them. What can I say? I love a little trinket. I love a little trinket, yeah. Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. Saddam Hussein hiding spot was, was probably my favorite part of Couch Fest. you know? So yeah. Yeah. That was Couch Fest and that was a lot of fun. Oh boy. And yeah, I did end up leaving a little bit early, but again, I was wiped out. So it's like I wasn't gonna stay and then like come back home at like 10. And then I really would have, slept until probably like noon the next day, which would have been today, which would have really thrown me off. Like today I was at least able to like function normally. I got things done. Not everything, but the most important things, which was grocery shopping and now doing this podcast. Those are the two obligations that I had today. And so far, I am meeting them. So I think I did good. What time is it? Oh, it's 8:35. Okay, well, oh well. Oh well. Time is a social construct. I have much more to talk about. However, so I guess we can talk about some of the upcoming gigs that are coming up this week. This upcoming week and also next week, because last time I did this I only did the upcoming week and not the next week. So on this week there's only two and they're both on Friday. Now I could be missing some. I could very well be missing some, but these are the ones that I have on my calendar, and I have been putting a little bit more effort into updating my calendar these days. Like anytime I see a new poster, I add it to my calendar like as soon as I can. So on Friday at 7 o'clock, we have DJ Jane Blank, Rosehaven Motor Hotel, David Taylor Coffee, and Slow Loris at Urban Foxes. And that is at 7, and I'm pretty sure that's the door time. And then also on Friday, pop-up show, we have God Cop, Raven Weather, and Face Rot. Now, Raven Weather is, I believe that's Heath, Walt, of the two Waltzes, the Waltzes twinses, and that's his like solo noise project. And I haven't been to a noise show in a while, so I think I really want to go to this one. And also Face Rot, which is a new hardcore band here in Jackson that I still haven't seen. And this is at the Plant venue, which is like I think primarily it's a wedding venue, but I've been to one show there like last year. And it is a really nice venue. It is very big because, again, it's meant for, like, weddings and, like, I don't know, not conferences. I don't know. I don't know. I do know they have a lot of weddings there. So it's also a free show on Friday at the Plant at 8 o'clock. And I'm pretty sure that's the door time again. I'm like 90% sure that's the door time. And again, it's a free show, a free noise show, Can't get any better than that. And then on Sunday, the day of suns, we have, I actually don't know if this one has been updated or not. I do know there might have been a change. So I'm going to look this up really quick just to make sure it's still the same. Let me see here. Is it here? Okay. So we have Grave Huffer, which is from Joplin, Missouri, of being wrecked by a tornado fame. That's the only reason I know about Joplin, Missouri, is because of that gigantic tornado. I think they got hit by a tornado like twice, like a really bad tornado twice, like within 2 or 3 years of each other. It was kind of crazy. But they're also home to Grave Huffer. Plague Burner from Vicksburg. Exorcism, who I know where they're from now. They're from Carlton, Mississippi. That's what it says on this flyer. And then The Downhill, who I'm pretty sure I have seen at least one time before, from Vicksburg. And this is going to be at the Sunflower Oven. It is only $10, a petite $10, 4 bands for $10. That's a steal. That is a steal. And it is at the Sunflower Oven. I don't know if I said that. And it is, door time is 6:30. So that's next Sunday. Let me go back to my calendar. And then next Saturday, the 3rd of May. And I think this one is still the same. But oh yes, this one is still the same. Okay, so we have Slow Hole, which is from, oh my gosh, New Orleans. Measureless Aeons from right here in Jacktown. Syntasia, who is from Clinton, and then Die With Nature, who's also from Jacktown. I'm going to keep calling it Jacktown. I think it's fun and whimsical. I don't care. That's going to be at the Sunflower Oven, and that's going to be at 6, and I'm like 90% sure that's the door time. Don't know how much it costs because I don't have the flyer in front of me, but I would imagine it's like $12, something like that. It shows that the Sunflower Oven usually never more than like 25 or 15, not 25, goodness. So that is the next couple of weeks. And then, I can't believe I forgot this. It's been sitting right here since yesterday. But the Cash Fest t-shirt, I made sure to get one. I think it looks so good. Okay, I'm going to have to. So this is the front graphic. There we go. I think that's so cool. I got the black one because, of course, I did. I wear primarily black, and I'm keeping to that bit. And then, the back part. Hold on. The back part. Oh, hold on. The back part. Catch Fest 4, Urban Foxes, Jackson, Mississippi. What does it say? April 19th, 2025. Created and hosted by Sir Flax. I'm just going to read this off. And then we have the names of the bands: Smokies, Joy Bomb, The Public, Deflo Service, Headcanon, Holy Vision, Oh Dang, Weak Hearts, Mostly Satire, and Goon Rainier. And then we have the name of the artists: Apex Illustration, Argus Burton, Asham Hill, Devin McCann, Guillermo Salinas, Isaac De La Cruz, Jonathan Faulkner, Jordan Henginson, Justin Ransberg, Jackson Comics, Jackson Underground. Okay, you can't really. There it is. My name is on a shirt. I'm so geeked about that. Like, oh my god. And then Latrice Lawson and SNZ Arts. And also, I feel like the shirt is extra special. I feel like the shirt is extra special because sponsors is misspelled. And you know what? I don't even care. I like it. I like that sponsors is misspelled. Misspell all the words. As long as my name is spelled right, I don't care. And yeah, the sponsors, which is Southern Sky Brands, which is a weed company, Six Sisters Printworks, which I believe did the shirts for this, and they also have made a lot of band shirts for Jackson bands, and then KC Brewing Company. So yeah, this is the shirt for this year. It looks so cool. I love it. I can never get rid of the shirt. Like, I can never get rid of the shirt. Like, this is so cool. I very unfortunately do not know who designed it, so that's bad, but the design is really cool. I like the black on the kind of off-white color. And they had it wasn't white, but it was like, I don't know, it wasn't tan either. It was somewhere between white and tan, I guess. They had that for the light colorway, and honestly, it just looks so good. Ugh. I love it. I love it. I love it dearly. I love it dearly. Oh, anywho, how? I forgot to show that for a second. So, I need to deflimify myself because I'm all congested. Whew. Alright. So, on last Monday, I saw something on Instagram.com that really made my butthole itch. And not just mine, but a lot of other people's buttholes itch. And, I still have, because it's still there. I didn't delete it or anything. But I made a whole reel talking about this, being like, voicing my displeasure about the situation. I'm sorry, I've had a headphone on for an hour. My ear is sweaty. But I made a reel sort of expressing my displeasure, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let this marinate. And I'm glad I let it marinate, because I feel like I can kind of I don't know, articulate myself a little bit better. So I was scrolling. I was going through my what do you call them? My Instagram stories, as you do, when I came across one posted by someone I follow who is a current student, okay, I did say that right, who is a current student at my alma mater of Belhaven University. And they reposted this one post that they made. And it's like, ooh, this ratio is crazy. Oh my god. Oh, that's rough. Yeah. But basically, my university's making AI slop, and it's really crazy. I guess there's this trend where you make a little figurine version of yourself, but of course you use AI because you're a talentless hack. Not you watching this, of course, the hypothetical person who would do something like this. And of course, actual artists have been doing their own versions of this in their art styles, and that of course looks amazing, but they can get AI slop like this. And I'm not even gonna lie, AI slop is getting less sloppy. But if you zoom in, of course the text looks normal, but like the outline around the text is like really, it's inconsistent. Like it's legible, you can read it. The logo is there correctly, probably because they edited it in there. You have the text that looks correct, but there's like, you zoom in to the little background graphics on this little figurine guy, and you notice like this is like weird. This is weird and inconsistent and kind of strange. And they made 4 of them. So they did one on the mascot for the school, which is the blazer, which, by the way, who knows what a blazer is? It's just a little Scottish man, wearing a kilt, because that's Belhaven's like thing. And then you have an admissions counselor who looks suspiciously like, I don't know if he still works there, but he looks suspiciously like a person that I knew who was an admissions counselor. So who knows if he, wanted his likeness to be used in this way. And it's got the, I don't know what you call this. It's not blister packaging, because blister packaging is like formed around the thing. But you've got the plastic packaging, which again is kind of inconsistent, because with the first one, you have it primarily around the figure, and then you have it like formed around the little accessories. But on the second one, you have it's just weird and inconsistent, basically, which is what AI is, weird and inconsistent. And then you have a peer leader. A peer leader. And then you have a dancer, because Belhaven is known for its dance program. And of course on the dancer, there's like 3 scrunchies here. And if you really zoom in on the scrunchies, they look weird. And also, for whatever reason, there's 3 scrunchies, and the scrunchies are like normal size. There's like these gigantic, like humongous bobby pins the size of your forearms, which that, again, weird and inconsistent. But I'm not even really trying to harp on the appearance of the AI slop itself. It's really just the fact that they made it at all. Because if you didn't know this, Belhaven is really big about its arts programs. They really focus on their arts programs. It's not necessarily an arts school, but it also kind of is, because they really do put a lot of focus on it in their advertising. How good their arts program is, like how good their dance program is, and how good their creative writing program is, how they've made, writers like Angie Thomas, and how good their other arts programs are. So to be a school that really is focusing on the arts and to make slop like this is really confusing to me, because it just says like, oh, I'm just going to do this cool little trend, and I don't really care how it makes us look as a school that focuses on the arts. Do you understand? Like, how did they not know this is going to like cheapen their brand? Because it is. Not only is it going to cheapen their brand, it's going to make their students like upset with them. And I don't know if you could tell, but their comments are turned off. They were on for like 2.5 hours, something like that. And they got pretty much, I saw one positive comment, one singular positive comment And that was it before they turned them off. And they got like, I want to say 10 to 13 comments before they ended up turning comments off because the majority of them were negative, you know? So it's like, to me, it's so crazy. I don't know why I'm sitting like that. To me, it's so crazy that they would do something like this because I remember pretty distinctly that it was either before or after, no, it had to be after I graduated. They had gotten this like huge donation to their arts program to have a 3D printing lab. So they have a lab that has like a bunch, well, I don't know about a bunch, but like a few 3D printers in there. And you can like 3D print things in the lab. And that's really cool, you know, for them to, you know, have that technology in there because 3D printers have been around for a while, you know? I mean, I had one in my high school and I, you know, I was not exactly going to a private school, you know, let's just say that. Um, so it's like, you know, finally they have this technology that was graciously gifted to them by, I want to say, one of their alumni to have that there, only for them to be like, oh, we'll just make some AI slop and use it as advertising because that's easy and cheap is probably free to do it, you know? But it's like, the weird thing about it is that what they could have done instead of making AI slop is that they could have gotten together with their students. This would have been so much better for advertising because think about the freaking news stories that could have been made about this, you know, not just here locally, but like honestly nationally. You know, they could have had a contest to design figurines that are emblematic of the school. And, you know, maybe students, you know, they might end up coming up with something about like this, but it would still be coming from the students to make something like that, come up with it themselves, you know, be judged on it by their peers or their professors, you know, the arts professors. And then after they come up with their designs, they will get to actually create them in the 3D printing lab that was graciously donated by someone out of, you know, the goodness of their hearts so that the students there can have a 3D printing lab. I don't know how much I can like harp on this. And also it's not just 3D printing. I think they also got like a CNC machine for like glass etching. But still the 3D printing was like a part of that. And then, you know, they could actually print out these figurines, you know, on campus using the stuff that they have. And then the students could paint them. And, you know, you can have, you know, other students to design the packaging and create the packaging, you know, because I do know that as a part of, I want to say it's graphic design, maybe, like as a part of that curriculum, you have to design, and I'm pretty sure this is like standard for graphic design as well. You have to design packaging for products. So why not incorporate that into your curriculum, have it be like this collaborative thing and, you know, get something good out of it instead of, you know, typing some words into a prompt and getting something that again looks inconsistent and weird. It could have been like a whole thing and yet they decide to do that. And you know I'm talking about this like it's this whole like thought out thing. Clearly they didn't think at all. Because if they put a little bit of thought into it, they could have come to the conclusion that I just came to and done that instead. And of course, you know, this would be like probably a semester spanning project, so they'd have to, you know, think about it in advance. But they didn't even have to, you know, go so far as making a physical thing. They could have just had, you know, not even just the art students, anyone on campus design something and post that. And that would be infinite times more cool and more interesting and more enticing me to know more about this school. Let's say I'm not an alumni, I'm just like somebody, you know, seeing this. That would get me to care a lot more than like something you typed into a prompt and it pooped out, you know? So it's like, why would you do that? Why would you cheapen your own arts programs by doing this? And why would you essentially say to your art students, like, hey, we don't care. We don't care about the arts. You know, we're typing prompts into Chat GPT and posting it online for likes. And I will say, you know, I've never quite seeing something get ratioed. Like, I'm scrolling through and I'm looking at, the likes to the comments to the shares, and it's kind of like insane because this post has 309 likes, which I think is, it's a little bit more than some of their other more recent posts. They're in the, 100 to 200 range. Some of them don't even break 50, but, they're in that range. But it has, hold on, let me scroll back up. It has 10.4 thousand shares, which is crazy. And I can't imagine that they're saying anything nice about it. But, I really wish, Instagram had like a, quote retweet feature where I can actually see what people are saying about this, how people are sharing it. And what people are saying in their, I guess, I don't know, because I mean, I know with shares, it's not just Instagram stories, it's, however something is shared. But for this to get 10.4 thousand shares, I cannot imagine, that everyone was just like, oh my God, look at this, it's so cool. I can't imagine that they were saying nice things about it. And the crazy thing, ooh, I just slapped my leg real hard. I'm wearing pants, I'm wearing shorts, I'm not wearing long pants. But the crazy thing about it is that the next post after this is BU's Fashion Association had their first ever sustainable fashion show. And it's about fashion students, getting together and making things from upcycled fabric, you know? And it's like, how do you have an AI post and then a post about that like right after it, like nothing happened? And it's crazy. It's crazy town. And this is so funny because I just clicked on the comments and the top one says, look at all these beautiful human made outfits, So it's like the students, the citizenry are not happy about this. I will say, as an alumni, I'm not happy about this, you know? And I mean, I still do feel this way because I feel personally that, at the very least, the professors care about the students, but, the admin, I can't speak for them. But, I would tell people that Belhaven is a great place to go to school. Even though I am not a Christian, I would still, recommend Belhaven to people, even though I had to go to chapel every Tuesday. It was really freaking annoying, and I kind of hated it, and it was really boring, and it sucked. And the fact that Christianity was shoehorned into basically of every aspect of student life, being that it is a Christian school, and that there's this kind of weird paternalistic rules in dorms, where they can't trust the adults to live there to act like adults. It's kind of weird, and I did at the time. I mean, I'm not there now, so I can't really say whether or not the culture has changed. But to me, given that there are so many homeschooled students there, and it's not just like me saying that, Belhaven touts himself as being a very homeschool friendly school. And, a lot of these homeschool kids are not being socialized perhaps the way that they should while they're being homeschooled. So to me, being at Belhaven did feel like it was high school too. I didn't really feel like I was in college. The emotional maturity of a lot of the people that I went to school with was just not there, which is unfortunate. But despite all of that, I was still like, Belhaven is a great school. I love my time there. The only thing that I would do differently was that I would just start out doing film instead of doing creative writing. And now it's like, why would you ruin your reputation like that? Just like among your own students and your alumni, Students that are paying you. I cannot stress this enough. Paying you, and not a little bit of money. Paying you a pretty penny. I still got student loans. And I will until I'm probably 45. Paying you to be there. And will be paying because they went there for many years to be a part of these arts programs that you tout as being so good. For you to turn around and just crap out something like that is crazy town to me. It is crazy town. It is truly crazy town. I don't get it. Would I still recommend Belhaven as a school? I will say yes, because the professors really do care about you. But the admin, I don't know, apparently they don't care if you live or die. Because, just seeing something like this, like, lazy and uninspired is what it is, you know? And as an artist, the last thing you want to be is lazy and uninspired. So, you know, it's just disappointing. What else can I say? And the fact that it's still up, I would have thought they would have taken it down, but they didn't, which is so funny that it's still up. And also the extra funny part is that I did post it on my Instagram stories being like, now why is my alma mater making AI slop? And they saw the story. So they know what people are saying. Obviously they know what people are saying. They took they disabled the comments. So it's like, it's not like they're oblivious to the way that people think about this. So yeah, that's my tirade. I think most people following me know how I feel about AI and AI art. And if you don't know, now you know. So, yeah. I did have one more thing to talk about, which again, as I alluded to earlier, this is really going outside of, the normal topics that I talk about on this here pod, but I wanted to talk about it because it felt like a big deal to me. And I think, for chronically online people such as myself, it is a big deal. So, I'm also going to speak about this with the assumption that you, the viewer, have like a base level of knowledge about all of this, because I don't really want to go into too much backstory because that would just take forever, and I'm already at an hour and 21 minutes, and I don't want to take forever trying to talk about this. But recently, okay, let me walk it back a little bit. So back in the day on YouTube, anti-SJW content was like, that was like the big thing. Everybody was doing it and everybody was popular for doing it. The whole after effects of Gamergate were definitely felt on the culture outside of gaming, not even just limited to gaming, but outside of it, of this anti-SJW culture. We're making fun of feminists and people on the fringes of society, was just like, not only was it normal, but it was accepted and it was encouraged. It was a wild time to be on the internet. This is not just YouTube, but just to be on the internet, to exist as a person, as a person who was part of a marginalized community on the internet from like 2015 to 2018. No, not before that. From 2013, because 2013 to like 2018 was kind of a really wild period where being outwardly, not really exactly saying the quiet part out loud, but saying the quiet part very loudly, whispering it. I will say that. Not exactly a yell, but a whisper that you can hear across the room. Being very somewhat outwardly, racist and homophobic and definitely transphobic and, misogynistic, heavy on the misogynistic. Like, it was a wild time. And so there were a lot of content creators that really got their bread and butter from doing that. And one of them, and there are going to be a lot of H3 fans that are going to be like, no, it was never like that. It was never like that. But if you go back and look at the old videos, which are, I don't know how much he's like tried to scrub from the internet. I don't really know if he's even really trying to do that at all. But if you go back and look at like the OG H3 content, and I'm talking about H3H Productions / Ethan Klein. His wife is part of H3, Ela Klein as well. And if you look at the stuff they were talking about back then, they were pretty outwardly anti-SJW. And, I, being a young black girl, was, for whatever reason, and again, I don't even know what drove me to enjoy this kind of content, but I was watching it. I was eating it up with a spoon and a fork and a knife, and eventually though, because when I was watching this, I was a teenager. I was like 14, 15, 16, not exactly making the best of choices. Like, look back at yourself at 14, 15, and 16 and tell me that you made good choices. You did not. Okay? You didn't. And if you did, good for you. But you probably still didn't. But anyways, edgy edgy humor, which is really just racism disguised as humor, racism and sexism disguised as humor, if we're being completely honest, was like a really big thing at the time, and H3 was like really into it and doing all of that. But eventually, I guess he didn't really change. The content that he made changed, especially when he started up his podcast, which that happened when I want to say I was like just starting college, when the H3 podcast was like first starting, when they were in their first studio that was like a knockoff Joe Rogan studio, which it was, let's be real, it was. And you could tell that H3 was kind of trying to be in that world of like the LA comedian space, where for whatever reason every LA comedian and their mom has a podcast. And there were a few popular ones at the time, like Joe Rogan, which it's been a while since Joe Rogan has been considered a comedian podcast. But I feel like it did start out that way. Just him and his friends kind of chopping it up. Honestly, it came from like the Opie and Anthony cohort. That like offshoot is what H3 was trying to emulate with his podcast. And as a result of that, in the beginning he was having like a lot of like really good guests, and I was watching the podcast at the time. I didn't really think Ethan was like a terribly good interviewer, so I wasn't that into it. And then there's the whole fallout with the Bill Burr episode of the podcast, which I didn't end up watching because I hit play on the video and then I scrolled down and I saw the comments and I was like, no thank you, actually. So I didn't see that, but it was notoriously very bad. Okay. So that kind of spelled the beginning of the end, where he started having less and less guests, having it be less guest featured and have it be just him, essentially doing what I'm doing right now, which is yapping at a camera. I think I think it's still live, but it was also live back then. It's a Mitch Hedberg joke, I think. I don't know. It still is, but it used to be too. But now, he has like a staff of like 10 people, which, okay, I have been doing this small scale podcasting thing for some time, maybe like, I don't know, we'll say like 2 years. And I guess because he is doing it live, then it does require some amount of help. But I have a staff of 10 people. That's a lot. Like, that's a lot, Robin. Like, that was a lot, Robin. Like, why do you have that many people working for you? Anyways, I feel like I'm getting off topic. Essentially, Ethan and his wife are Jewish, and they actually used to live in Israel. And if you go back and watch some of his older videos that were from when he was living in Israel, I will never forget this for as long as I live, because it was just so weird, seeing that at the time, but there would be times where they're recording videos, recording their goofs, gaffs, and laughs like they normally do, and you can hear freaking bombs dropping in the background. Like, so, that was what was going on at the time. And so the whole thing about Hila, which, really in the beginning endeared people to her, was that she was like, which being in the military is, I believe, compulsory for like 2 years in Israel. So, she was like this baddie in the IDF. And, Hila is, an objectively attractive woman. So, there's pictures of her when she's like young, holding a gun. And so, that was like a whole thing for a while. And so, anyways, the whole thing about this is that Ethan and Hila are Jewish people who used to live, Hila specifically is an Israeli Jew who used to live in Israel as things were happening, bombs dropping outside of their home, like it was like that, and so they have since, moved back to the States. It's been like a while, maybe like more than 10 years since they've lived in Israel. But, given that there is a lot more public discourse about the genocide that is happening in Gaza, they have been, of course, weighing in on it. And being that, okay, I will not equate the two, but it has become very apparent over it's been like a year and a half since the initial October 7th bombings. They're pretty outspokenly pro-Israel. They're pretty much Zionists, they have been on that side, which of course is a very tough side to take, especially considering all the evidence that there is for Israel committing genocide in Gaza. So, and the thing about it is that they are very unwilling to see the other side of it, which is crazy. And so Ethan has had a few different podcasts with other people. I think the most prominent one, which introduced Ethan and H3 to a lot of people who didn't know him before, was Frenemies with Trisha Paytas, which, by the way, the fact that Trisha Paytas has been associated with so many people and has somehow come out on the other side of all of her relationships with these people unscathed needs to be studied. Like, what kind of protection does Trisha Paytas have on her? Like, what is going on? But aside from that, there was this whole blow up with Frenemies, and so that ended. But because of that, Ethan Klein got a lot more, I would say, a broadly girly pop audience from Frenemies, because a lot of the people who were watching Frenemies straight up didn't know who H3 was, didn't know his background and didn't know his anti-SJW views or anything like that. And then after a while, and I don't think this lasted for very long because I don't remember like hearing about this when it was happening. Like, I knew about Frenemies when it was happening because people would make meme videos about it like a lot. Probably because, of Trisha Paytas's association with it. So eventually, somewhere down the line, I love how I said at the beginning of this, I'm going to talk about this like you have a base level of understanding, and I'm explaining it anyways, but whatever, I'll keep going. And so eventually, H3 starts another like spin-off podcast with Hassan Piker, who is a Twitch streamer known for talking about politics. And so, of course, this is going on. I believe this is during the current stuff that's going on in Gaza. And so, of course, Hassan being Hassan, he's a broadly socialist-leaning person, is very against the genocide in Gaza. And of course, Ethan being not only a Zionist, but also just kind of uninformed at the time, they would butt heads about it a lot. And eventually the podcast would break up. Like, I don't know if it ended in spectacular fashion like it did with Frenemies, but the podcast would be no more. I forgot what it was called. Or I don't know if I ever knew what it was called. And so since the breakup of the podcast, Ethan has been having a very public and prolonged crash out, is the only way that I can call it. It's a very public and prolonged crash out. And he has been going sort of off the deep end to the point where, hearing him talk these days, it's like concerning. Like, what on earth is going on? Like, brother, please, like, turn the camera off, turn the mics off, please touch grass, go outside, do something other than this, essentially. And he's been getting more and more, negative attention for it because, again, this crash out is just, not only is it dragging on for a long time, again, it's just really intense. And it's all centered around Hassan. Like, he has Hassan on the brain 24/7. Even when, during the latest wildfires in LA, the flames were getting dangerously close to his home, all he could do was get on his Instagram stories and talk about Hassan Piker. It's like, he talks about him on the podcast streams, like, all the time. And it's like, I'm not even watching this. This is just stuff that I'm seeing from other people talking about it. Like, the amount that he is talking about Hassan is kind of crazy. Like, you would think there are some unaddressed feelings there, So just to put it out there, not saying that that's what's going on, but, the amount that he talks about him, it's odd. It's odd mixed strange. And so, that is kind of where we're at now. And also, now it's gotten to the point where, the whole thing about H3 that endeared him to a lot of people is that he won this landmark case for fair use that really, it was a, what do you call it? It set the precedent for fair use on YouTube, and that was like an objectively good thing that happened. But now he's basically doing the thing he sought out to destroy, which is using lawsuits to silence criticism about him. And I think his latest target is Noah Sampson, who's a commentary YouTuber who made a very long video, not even really about him. It was more about what's going on in Gaza like right now, but sort of using, this very long video about what's going on in Gaza to say how much Ethan is wrong about what he's talking about. And so the whole thing that kind of brings this together is that eventually, Ethan talking about Hassan to a uncomfortable degree came to a fever pitch when he put out this content nuke, which the last time that he did this, it was about someone that pretty much everyone hated. So like nobody really cared. It was about Keemstar. And like nobody likes Keemstar. Keemstar is pretty much a universally disliked figure. He is also sort of a cockroach in that he has been around for so long, has been called out so many times, including by the person that I'm about to talk about. And yet somehow, nevertheless, he persisted. I don't know what's going on there. Like, I feel like whatever's protecting Trisha Paytas is also protecting Keemstar for some reason. Like, they're two sides of the same coin, Oh man, what a comparison I just made. Anyways, so, the last time Ethan has made this very long call-out video about someone, it was about a universally disliked person, and people generally thought that he was in the right for it. And now he made something, he made a content nuke about Hassan, saying that, there's no genocide going on in Gaza, and actually, it's the Palestinians who are wrong. And, he makes all these claims in his video. But the weird thing about it is that all of his claims can and have been debunked by people. I believe including Hassan, which I don't know if Hassan's actually like made a proper video about the content nuke, but not a proper video, or talked about on stream rather, because he's a streamer. But a lot of people have talked about it and called him out for it, for how wrong he is about the things. And after this, the crash out has just been more crashier. I really don't know how to say it, but he has really been going after people after this content nuke. And so enter idubbbz. idubbbz, I would say, was probably a little bit worse, not even a little, like actually worse than H3, in that he was just like openly saying slurs on his channel. And again, this is another YouTuber that I like watched and liked, and he was just like saying the N-word. This is a white person, by the way. So it's like, what on earth was like 15-year-old me going through? I don't know. I don't know, but she is healed mostly. I would not tolerate such a thing these days, but at the time I was just like, this is great, but now, no thank you. However, the difference between idubbbz Ian and H3 Ethan is that idubbbz eventually saw the error of his ways, and after taking a somewhat informal break from YouTube, he came back. And the thing about idubbbz is that he would make these things called content cops. And that's sort of where the name for the content nuke came from. Because, to H3, the content nuke was more powerful than the content cop. Even though, the careers of the two people that he made them on have been unaffected. So I guess the nukes were a dud, if you think about it. And so Ian of idubbbz made these things called content cops. They're basically these long, prolonged call-out videos on, unsavory characters on YouTube. And the thing about those is that aside from, Keemstar, and Tana Mojo has, like, really turned it around, which her case is really interesting because I feel like she was just, she had her faults. But I feel like, because the weird thing about it is that me and Tan Mojo are like very close in age. Like she might be 1 or 2 years older than me. And she got like a lot of fame and a lot of money at a very young age and just like did not cope at all. Just like at all, and I feel like that's where a lot of her issues came from. I feel like as she's gotten older, maybe she has realized that some of that stuff was not as good, of the videos that I have seen of her talking, as an adult, it's like, I feel like she's kind of grown and matured, which I think is a good thing. But for the most part, the other people that idubbbz has made content cops on have like dropped off the face of the earth, And so his whole comeback and apology video was not really comeback, it was just an apology video. His apology video was apologizing for, all of the like harmful things that he perpetuated in his content cops, like saying slurs and making young people think it's okay to say slurs to other people. And it's honestly a really good video, and as someone who was a fan of idubbbz, when he was doing that, I thought it was a sufficient apology. But given that, I'll say for better or worse, but it's definitely for worse, he had this, whole fan base of chuds, basically, all of these, straight up racist, homophobic, misogynistic, transphobic people. Like, his fan base legitimately turned on him because of it, and that didn't really matter to him. He still pressed forward, And so I found that really commendable, especially given that I feel like he knew that a large part of his fan base was going to turn on him if he, renounced and denounced his past actions, but he still did it anyways. So I have actually gained a lot of respect for idubbbz for doing that. But, Ethan has not made any sort of apology, probably because he still feels that way, because he still holds those beliefs, because he has not grown or matured at all in the time from when he was making, videos about crazy SJWs up until now. I mean, clearly he hasn't matured at all. Like, let's be real, he hasn't. And so all of this background comes together to earlier this week, where a new content cop from idubbbz has been dropped, and it has been dropped on H3. And something that I should mention is that this is especially surprising. Maybe not surprising. I think some people saw it was coming. I didn't see it was coming. I did not see that it was coming. This was especially surprising because Ethan and idubbbz were like friends back in the day. I'm pretty sure they had some videos together. And they were like friends back in the day. So to have this happen, I'm sure it seems like a great betrayal from H3, but if you watch it, and it is like over an hour long, and I know not all of us have the stamina for YouTube videos that are over an hour long, even though if you are watching this on YouTube, this is a YouTube video that is over an hour long, but it's a podcast, so it's a little bit different. So hey, cut me some slack. You can come back. You can stop it and come back. I won't be mad. I do that to podcasts all the time. I don't listen to them in one go for the most part. So, But that was especially surprising, not only because, idubbbz had previously denounced all of his content cops, but, had done one on a friend, because said friend, former friend, they're probably not friends anymore, is having this very public, very prolonged crash out. Like, I feel like it needed to be done. And so that is where that leaves us today. Again, I don't watch H3. I haven't in years, honestly. So I don't know if he's responded to it. I don't know what his response has been to it, if any. I would be surprised because, given how hard he went off on Noah Samsen, who, by the way, idubbbz wasn't really going into, the history of what's going on in Gaza, but I feel like took a similar approach to Noah Samsen. Something tells me that Ethan is not going to be suing idubbbz. I don't think that's going to be happening. So, it's really honestly kind of sad that all of this is going down, which, I mean, I don't know if H3 is really a YouTuber deserving of veneration as like one of the greats, because the content that he was making was legitimately harmful. So I don't know if I'd be like, oh, how the mighty have fallen, but I will say him using lawsuits to try to silence people, you either die a villain or live long enough to see yourself you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain. Ethan is firmly in the second camp. So that was definitely surprising to see. It was also crazy because, everyone's talking about the fact that there's a content cop in 2025 being a recession indicator, but also, there's this other, which I'm not going to get too much into this, but there's this other, I guess, YouTube group that, okay, I'll just talk, I can't, like, so I used to watch Machinima a lot, the YouTube channel a lot when I was a kid. Of course, that all crashed and burned because Warner Brothers bought it and then deleted every video off of all of the channels, which is so crazy. That's my burning of the Library of Alexandria to me, and I feel like to a lot of people, because, they could have shut everything down. They didn't have to delete all of the videos. That wasn't costing them anything. It was costing Google more than it was costing them to keep the videos on the platform. I don't understand why they deleted all the videos. I don't even know if that's ever been explained, but that was, oh my god, like, anyone who was a Machinima enjoyer back in, like, 2013 to 2016, like, or even past that, like, our hearts are hurting because of that. Like, I don't know if that was a David Zaslav decision. I don't know if he was CEO at the time. I know he's CEO of, like, Warner Brothers Discovery. But, like, no, because anyways, either way, I'm going to blame it on David Zaslav, because he's my op anyway, so he's going to take the blame, even if it wasn't his fault. But anyways, after, Machinima died, there's this other channel that rose from its ashes called Inside Gaming. Not Inside Gaming, that was one of Machinima's channels. The one that rose from the ashes of Inside Gaming and Machinima was Funhouse, which it's crazy because that ended up getting shut down by a parent company as well. So it's like, never get bought out, basically. That's the moral of those stories. Like, don't get bought by huge companies, because they will eventually shut you down, So that, if you learn nothing else from this little aside, don't get bought by parent companies. Anyways, I used to watch this YouTube channel called Funhouse a lot. They're a gaming channel, and they had this series called... Okay, sorry, my phone just vibrated. They had the series called Demo Disc, where they had... I think people would send them in. They had all of these, like, Xbox... I think it was primarily Xbox and maybe PC, like, demo discs. They were physical CDs that had demos of games on them, and they would play them, and at the end of every episode, they would, like, break the disc. And I don't know how the algorithm gods, managed to deliver it to me, but also last week, there was, like, a new demo disc, and just, like, watching an idubbbz content cop and, like, a demo disc in the same week, like, time is a flat circle, because in 2015, I come home from school to a new episode of Demo Disc. In 2025, I come home from work to a new episode of Demo Disc. What is happening? Like, these are recession indicators. What is going on? And in both times, I have no one in my real life to talk to about it. So, at least this time around, I yap about it on my podcast. But yeah, that is my past 2 weeks, folks. That is what's going on with me, and that'll do it. That'll be it for me. This has been the... Is it the 45 or the 46th? I don't even know. Hold on. I'm looking. Give me a minute. I gotta look. What episode is this? It's the 46th episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. I have been your host, Aaron. Thank you for allowing me to run my mouth. Follow me on Instagram, because if you aren't following me on Instagram, you're only getting half the story. And, yeah, it's very late, but I'm going to... it's like 9 o'clock. Good God. I'm going to attempt to have dinner. So, yeah.